every time an unsuspecting citizen puts a burger inside of his mouth, he just thinks he will have a good nutrition, a good day, and he's completely innocent. Unfortunately, it's not true. He is a part, and that burger, a single burger, is a part of a huge, very much polluting industry. And it is also a huge detriment to even his health. So we believe that today, we would wish that people would not eat commercially produced meat. Now, what is commercially produced meat? Commercially produced meat is meat produced by companies, by corporated companies, and this is the simple definition. We just only believe that there should be an exclusion of organic meat companies since they do not actually harm the environment. So this is how we believe what people should not eat. Now, this is of course a value debate, and I would like to stress this very much. We believe that people simply should not eat these products, and I will actually show you the reasons why in my arguments. So now let me begin without any further ado. Our first argument why people should not eat meat. Well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, because meat is one of the biggest, largest, and most polluting industries in the world. Now, why it is so? Well, we have two supplements on this thing. Now, the first one is that meat, that the direct pollution of meat industry. Now, how does this happen? Well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, we do not eat all the meat that we produce. Corpses of animals, their bones, their other parts that we do not eat, they of course rot. And they produce a lot of methane, which is a CO2 gas emission, which is a greenhouse gas, and which is very detrimental to the health, and which is actually poisonous. Also, the excrement of these animals in very large farms, which make up a very, very large amount, they also produce methane. And this is also harming the environment. It also causes global warming in a very, very big way. Now, also, what these companies actually need to actually get rid of their of these things, of these side effects. But how do they do that? They do that by polluting. They pour them in the rivers. They actually, the whole process of discarding of these parts that we do not need is also contributing to a very big part to our global climate change and also to the pollution in the world. So this is how the processes that are happening in the meat producing factory, in the slaughterhouse, harm the environment. But the second point is how actually there's a very big industry behind the meat industry, and it is also, first of all, that is the energy industry. Because meat production requires so much energy, and of course, since most of this energy is coal or oil-based, it also harms the environment very much. And we could actually avoid producing this energy to support the meat industry. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the meat we eat today is not very good, it's not very organic. Because the companies, especially these one of the biggest commercial companies, especially in the USA, they produce a lot of antibiotics and hormones to actually increase the productivity of these animals. And this is also a huge issue in the world, because companies like Monsanto and other ones, they are chemical producing companies, which actually provide the meat industry with these products to increase the productivity. And also, as we know, chemical producing companies are one of the biggest pollutants. And actually, they not only do they pollute CO2, not only do they pollute greenhouse gases, they also give us very much dangerous and detrimental gases and all kinds of pollutants that are flowing in the rivers and actually harm our environment greatly. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we've shown you, first of all, how the direct meat industry actually harms the environment and how there's a huge, big industry behind it. But let me move on to our second argument, which is also about something that is behind the meat industry. Ladies and gentlemen, when you eat, for example, genetically modified soy sauce, it is grown with quite big caution. Because the food that humans eat, the crops that humans eat, is produced with great caution, and the genetically modified crops that humans eat are produced with great caution and with great experimentation. But since the commercial industry wants to gain much profit, they actually feed their animals with crops that are produced using genetically modified organisms and which actually are produced carelessly, especially in the United States of America. Now, what is these crops actually come up to a huge amount of genetically modified organisms, and they are planted all around the world. Now, when genetically modified crops are being taken carelessly, and when it actually poses a huge danger to our world, how does this happen? Well, when you actually change something genetically, it may not harm the crop itself, it may not harm the animal, but we do not know, because we do not experiment what kind of effect it will have on other circles. For example, how it will harm the soil. even if the soil is in harm, how would it harm the insects that live in that soil, or how would it harm the birds who eat or feed on the insects of that soil, or how would it harm the humans who feed on those birds? And this is just a huge circle. So, when we see that we are actually doing something very careless to feed these animals that we later eat, we see that we are actually posing a huge danger to our society. For example, a few decades ago, in America, when a field was planted with genetically modified crops, year later it was tested and was found out to be very detrimental. The field was burned down. But actually, another really big issue is that the crops, the seeds, actually, due to wind actions, it spread all over Central America. And this was a huge disaster of that time. So we can see that if we want to actually preserve our environment, we cannot experiment with such dangerous methods just in order to have a cheap commercial meat industry. And this is how genetically modified crops actually support this issue that we are dealing with today. So, ladies and gentlemen, what have I shown you today? We have shown you that in order to protest against the huge pollution that the meat industry causes to us, against all of the energy required, all of the excrements and all of the waste it produces, all the chemicals that are used to produce meat, and all the genetically modified crops that are a danger to our environment, I beg you to propose.
So in your definition of meat, are you going to include like fish or cows and all kinds of meat, or are you just talking about beef?
We are suggesting people to become pesco-vegetarians. It means they are allowed to eat fish because it is not so because it's not polluting as the red or poultry meat, and also we believe that milk products should be allowed.
Okay, and also so you're not going to put organic meat companies in your kind of case today?
No, we just believe that we believe that it's moral and it's okay to eat organically produced meat. We are not debating a policy at all. It is completely allowed debate.
Well, if you don't put organic meat companies, organic meat companies, produce the same corpses and produce the same method as, just regular companies?
Actually, no, sir. Because you see, these organic factories are not actually working under very strict conditions. They cannot have, for example, excrements like in other countries. They have to be discarded very carefully. And for example, most of these organic factories are in Denmark or in the Scandinavian countries, and they are actually very clean and very.
So you're saying that there are no like corpses and there's no methane produced by these companies?
No, I mean, of course, the animals die, but the corpses and everything is get rid of in a clean way, environmental way.
Okay, so why do you think that we should just drastically get rid of meat when we can just make safer regulations as you propose?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're not banning anything. I just want to make this very clear. We're just suggesting to people that they should not eat meat. But also, you see, when we're talking about commercial meat companies, in order for them to survive, they actually have to make meat very cheap, and this is the ways that they do so. So we do not see commercial meat, the meat industry saying the same, and actually them having such incentives to reduce their waste.
Okay, so you're saying that it's okay to have organic meat companies